Make sure to watch through to the finish because everyone who comments XRP in the section below will receive up to 1,000 free, which they may use to obtain even more XRP and enter to win. When XRP was first created before Ripple existed, its creators decided to make it in 100 billion units because they wanted it to be a world reserve currency rather than a smaller number with a very high price. This explains why the announcement of a huge relationship between Ripple Labs and the US Federal Reserve, which coincided with the announcement that XRP would be used for payments, made a lot of news. In fact, the Federal Reserve Bank is said to be in an attempt to discourage ordinary people from purchasing XRP. They might also collaborate with Rebel Labs to improve the currency and ledger. This will result in a significant supply shock, but it also means that a significant amount of retail XRP will be repurchased and transferred from retail to institutional ownership. Google also verified and demonstrated that the Federal Reserve is preparing to use XRP as a means of payment for goods and services globally. It is reported that Ripple is repurchasing XRP in order to transfer ownership from private individuals to institutions. In addition, JP Morgan has stated that it will accept XRP and uses the XRP Ledger Cashbox system, which is operated by the KOBI, the CTF token in the trading fund. You may verify that the Federal Reserve utilizes XRP globally and intends to acquire it as a worldwide payment system by looking up this information on Google. Additionally, it demonstrates that Ripple is repurchasing XRP as part of their buyback program to transfer ownership from private individuals to institutions. Teploti, one of the Fed's top leaders, had previously stated that the Fed would transfer payment settlement to a third-party business such as Ripple Labs, which would use the XRP ledger and the XRP cryptocurrency for payment. Although we are just getting started, we have evidence that Arthur Pichot, a co-founder of Ripple Labs, stated that XRP was intended for worldwide use and alluded to a $10,000 0-cent price per XRP before we proceed. As the film progresses, we must give out free money to all viewers, yes, up to $100,000 0 cents, so that you can earn even more XRP and have the opportunity to become extremely wealthy by adopting this method. To view more videos, simply click like and subscribe to the station. After leaving an XRP comment in the video's comments, register. After completing a transaction using the link in the description, you will receive up to $1,000 free to apply toward the purchase of further XRP. With everything out of the way, let's watch more of the video. The Fed won't like it if it can print as much money as it wants by joining up for Uphold and executing a trade in less than 3 minutes. You might call the downside of all of that is that if you don't want the Fed to handle payments, they might limit some sales by requiring Know Your Customer KYC ID, which would make it impossible to handle some purchases you want to make. That's why I said, well, if we wanted to, we could take the idea one step further. You could imagine that the Fed would issue these Bitcoin-like things and make sure they had the same value as the Fed wire, but the Fed is the only one who can change it. It's also significantly less expensive than Bitcoin if you're comfortable with someone else handling it. However, it's an intriguing concept that would prevent exchange fluctuations, so they might assign the task of clearing these funds to a third party, such as a protocol similar to Ripple or perhaps even Bitcoin. In other words, we could assign the miners to handle these electronic Fedcoin payments. First, let's take a look at the price of XRP, which is currently $2.70, up 3.66% in the last day. The CEO of Ripple and several other speakers have stated that XRP will be the US global reserve currency, as confirmed by the US Strategic Reserve. Okay, there are 2 clips. One of the CEO of Ripple confirming this, And the second was the Federal Reserve, which we just showed you. For this reason, it makes perfect sense to have Ripple's CEO declare that XRP will be a component of the US strategic reserve and a world reserve currency. The Federal Reserve also says that let's play the movie about the various applications of LLUSD and XRP. Could you please double click that and describe the various use cases you see for each of them? To start, I think it's critical to understand the differences because some misleading information has once again caused some people to misunderstand our viewpoint. There are numerous reasons why we remain completely dedicated to the XRP community. It's an extremely useful blockchain, and it's evident that we have an abundance of XRP. We're totally committed to let you know that XRP is the token that comes with the XRP ledger. It's required for gas stocks in the accounts ledger, but more simply, you need XRP to use the XRP ledger when we go to market with Ripple as a way to send money across borders. We use it as a bridge asset because it's incredibly fast and nearly free for every transaction. And it can work with a safe coin when currency conversion isn't as common or there isn't as much liquidity. Now, let's discuss the other side of the story. For years, Ripple has relied on stable currency such as Tether and USDC. However, as time passed, we began to question because we had previously stated publicly that we were minting 20% of all USDC. So we reasoned that waiting a minute the XRP ledger is the best place to buy and sell XRP in all of its components, including the main coins and utility coins if you want to use it. But even though we felt like we had a real role to play in this market, I think we will occasionally still use other tools to make on-chain payments. You need stable coins. There will need to be stable coins as more assets are converted into tokens on the XRP system. And even the Ondo news from earlier today shows some of that. Solana's Polygon, Binance, XRP Ledger, or any other EVM chain. The best location to do that is on Ban Exchange, which has nearly all of Ethereum's tokens and its whole chain. You can access them on your Apple or Android phone at Band Exchange, where you can also see and trade all the newest tokens immediately. You can also sell them and send the money directly to your bank account, so it's not a problem. And don't forget about the BXE ticket. The BXE token is native, and we have news that it's going to soar. They just released it officially today, and they haven't done any marketing or even discussed it, so you can see that things are going to get very bullish very soon. They also unlocked a buy with card feature on the BXE token, meaning that you can now purchase the native Ben exchange token instantly and easily using